Hello, everybody. This is the Anime Bro here, and welcome to another Anime Talk, a show where I basically ask about anime or manga to someone else. And today, I am with Lenny. I'm just gonna use that, Lenny.
Oh, absolutely. It's absolutely fine. Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, wherever you might be. I'm Lenny, also known as LennyAW on YouTube, and I'm here to hopefully share with you, Anime Bro, how beautiful a slice of life actually is as an anime.
maybe.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We're going to do this.
All right, you can try. And also, check out his video check out his channel. Help him out. He's also as low as me, and we both really would need the subs. So
We're down bad. Please subscribe.
yes, please, that
We
would
need
help.
you. Please.
Yes. And yeah, let's just get into this video. All right. So the first question is, what is an anime that you enjoy rewatching?
Right, now this is an easy question for me because there are only two anime that I think I've ever actually rewatched. The first one is Great Teacher Onizuka. Have you heard of that one before?
Oh yes, I've watched it. I love that.
I love Great Teacher Onizuka so much. It's luckily enough, actually, it was one of the first anime that I ever watched, so I got off on a really good start. And I just loved the way it looked, the aesthetic, especially the intro as well. Even the intro song was super cool, you know, with a black and white Onizuka sort of going through the house and everything.
Yeah.
And the entire series, I just admire Onizuka so much. He was such a cool main character, you know. He was lawless, but also really sort of cool and good-hearted and everything like that.
Yeah.
He was really perfect. I really liked him.
Yeah.
And the second one is Attack on Titan. I'm currently rewatching that to get behind all of the things that I might have missed on my first go-through. And there's so much stuff that you only notice the second time you're watching it, and so much stuff where you think like, oh, I know what's gonna happen. I know what's gonna happen, and stuff like that. So that's also been a great rewatch.
Yeah. I so even though I said like slice of life isn't usually my thing, I actually do love Great Teacher Onizuka. So I watched Assassination Classroom, and normally when it comes to the great mentors of anime, Great Teacher Onizuka and Koro Sensei are like the neck and neck. Like you either like Koro Sensei or you either like Great Teacher Onizuka. And honestly, it's kind of hard to decide because the one thing that I like about both of them is that they're not just they're not becoming teachers because they need a paycheck. They actually were pretty good at their job. Like I think one of the memorable
Their job being a criminal who rides bicycles around or what?
Yeah.
I mean, this is such a trip down memory lane actually with Assassination Classroom. But you're right, both of them sort of become teachers because they're unorthodox and they want to actually make kids' lives better, right?
Yeah. With a Great Teacher Onizuka, one of my favorite moments is like in the beginning, like one of the like teachers there is like he's dissing on this kid because he's like one of the worst kids ever, and the Great Teacher Onizuka just punches the teacher, and he's like, yeah, you can't just judge the kid for what he's done, you know. Your job as a teacher is to make him better and stuff. And
I love that scene so much. It's the one with the Carl Gotch suplex, right?
Yeah.
The one where he like throws him over his head.
Yeah. And I remember that. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna watch this. I'm actually gonna watch this.
Oh, definitely no. I mean, I remember every single episode of Great Teacher Onizuka either had me laughing or had me feeling really emotional or anything in between. But it was an anime where no episode whatsoever was actually wasted, which is what I really liked about the anime. Or what I really like about anime in general is when they have no fillers whatsoever.
Yeah. I also just like that he seemed to like, he didn't really care what the rule book said. If he was gonna do it, he was going to do it. So like it eventually got me to the point when I was watching, I was like, okay, what's he gonna do now? Because it's like the rule book's out. Like the rule book is basically out. He thrown it out. He burned it. He basically
He's put it at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, he's
He's really gone overboard.
Yeah, he basically crossed almost he probably broke some laws. Let's be honest. So
A lot of them.
yeah, so it was like it was so exciting. You're like, okay, how is he gonna do this? Like, because normally you would think the normal way it's like, oh, just talk to the students. He doesn't do that, so it's like, okay, every new episode it's like, okay, how is he gonna handle this problem? How is he gonna handle this problem? And it's just really unique. Like I remember one of them, like there was a kid who was very good at photoshopping, and
Oh, right, one with the BDSM pictures, right?
yeah, where he was like he kept photoshopping the kid was photoshopping him into these weird like pictures and stuff, and showing out in the school. One thing I found so interesting was instead of punishing the student, he was like, "Hey, can you just do some stuff for me?"
Oh, that scene, that's so brilliant. I love that so much. Especially like the picture before with him and the vice principal, right? You know the one?
Yeah. Jesus.
One with both of them like both of them completely naked, like touching down.
Yes.
And then one where he just goes like, "Can you like Photoshop this teacher's face onto some naked girls? That would be lovely. Thank you so much." I love that so much as well.
Yeah.
But I think every one of his lessons is unorthodox and brilliant in just that way. Like, you remember the very high IQ girl who just destroyed everything around her? I remember him driving a motorcycle off a bridge with her on it to prove a point or something like that. It's like, dude, you can't just do that. You can't drive a motorcycle off a bloody bridge. That's not how it works, Onizuka. That's not how it works. But he does it and he pulls it off, and that's what I love about this anime.
Yeah.
Brilliant, really.
Honestly, at times I just think like, is he actually thinking, or is he just playing as it goes? Like, he got the plan, but he doesn't know how to execute it right.
Yeah, I think it helps that he probably has only 2 brain cells or something like that to rub together.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a great anime.
Yeah.
What a great anime.
Okay, I guess with the slice of life, you got me in that one. That was a pretty good one.
One down, 4 questions to go to steer towards Slice of Life.
Yeah.
We will continue upon the righteous path.
Yeah. But of course, we can't forget like Attack on Titan. You know, the big one right now, and how it's going. I'm with you somewhat. I recently rewatched it, but it was only because I wanted to get my mom into it, and right now that's
So funny you should say that, because the reason I'm rewatching is because I'm forcing my dad to get into it.
oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I gotta say is that out of all the anime that I've watched with my mom, this was the only one where we actually got through a season. No, I think we actually got through 2 seasons, and that's when I realized she's actually enjoying this. She's actually liking this.
I've got to warn you. Oh wait. First of all, just before we continue with this, can we give spoilers for Attack on Titan? Should we like put up a big spoiler disclaimer, or should we go on without spoilers?
Okay. You know what? I normally, honestly, I don't really care. Like,
Okay.
at this point, if you're in this video, spoiler alert. But honestly, you know, if you were on Twitter, you already know what's happening. So,
And even if not, you should know. You should have watched Attack on Titan by now. If not, go watch it.
yeah.
But spoiler alert, for season 3, it gets very political, right? And
Yeah.
that is pretty much the point where my dad stopped watching, because it wasn't like this cool thing where everybody's killing the Titans anymore. It was actually getting complicated. So all of
yeah.
a sudden he wasn't that keen on it anymore, because it was politics and like new people getting revealed constantly.
Yeah.
I really like season 3, part 1 actually, just because you get to see like a deeper insight into Levi and loads of other people, and you find out that Levi and Mikasa are related. And
Yeah.
That's one of these big what moments of the series.
Yeah. Well, I honestly, watching the whole thing, it's like they look similar, and also they like very like when it comes to killing Titans, you can't match them too. So it's like, you know, it's a big surprise. Like, oh my goodness! But then at a point, it's like you kind of see it. So it's like it was there the whole time. We just needed to confirm it. We needed it to be confirmed and stuff. But
It's true. Although my dad was a bit disappointed because he wanted Levi and Mikasa to marry, get together, and produce like a sort of family of superhuman Titan killing machines, which obviously now can't happen since it would be incest. So he's a bit disappointed about that.
well, honestly, you know, it's like World War I time. You know, incest was still a thing then. So you know, that could happen. Yeah, that still could happen. We don't know that. the times were different back then.
Oh, definitely, definitely, definitely. I do have to ask though,
Mm.
what do you think about season 4, part 3?
Okay, so I'm actually like, when people say like, "Oh, you should milk a series," I kind of put it in perspective. Like, I think it's better to milk a series than to just end it there, because if you don't give it proper, because I'm a person that's like, I prefer a series going on for a long time and then having a satisfying ending, because then it's like, okay, the guy made it to the point where he wanted to end it. Because for those who don't know, Game of Thrones season 8 is considered to be the worst because of its ending.
Worst. It is the worst.
Yeah, but the thing is, even like the author himself said, they had enough stuff to do like 2 more seasons. So it was so it probably would have been the same thing when it came to like Game of Thrones. People would have been like, "Oh, they just need to end the series right now. Like, come on, dude. Like, it's dragging on and stuff." But I think it's better to milk a series and have a satisfying ending, because then at least when it ends, you eventually think like back on it, and it's like, you know what? I'm kind of glad it did this, because I would have rathered wanting a good ending. I would rather have a series get like milked and then have a good ending than a series to end like with nothing, no backup to it, no like this was never foreshadowed, or this didn't make any sense at all, and just end it right there. Which is kind of like I said, Game of Thrones and stuff, how it ended.
I get what you mean. I'm actually excited for Attack on Titan season 4, part 3, but I think the main reason for that was the final episode in part 2, because that really sort of ramped up the hype train again. You got to see, like, spoilers ahead once again, obviously.
Yeah.
You got to see Eren in his Titan form, like, finally invading Mali, and the soldiers retreating, and Eren being unstoppable.
Yeah.
But I thought that the series in the few episodes before that didn't really have the same feeling as it did right at the start.
Yeah.
Because I think in the middle it kind of got a bit boring, got stretched out, and obviously I understand that that a series can get stretched out at times, but I think if you're making this massive humdrum about it being the final series, then to let it stretch out, make it hype again in the final episode, and then announce part 3, it kind of felt a bit wrong somehow.
Yeah.
If I'm honest. Because, you had like this massive thing with all of my Eldian subjects. I am Eren Yeager, and I will crush everybody who is not a subject of Ymir.
Yeah.
And suddenly it went from that to sort of slice of life Connie trying to feed somebody to his giant mother and stuff like that, which obviously was pretty exciting as well, but just not as exciting as what we'd come to expect from Attack on Titan Sundays.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one thing, like most of, like when it comes to Attack on Titan, I think the one thing that, as a series as a whole, honestly, I kind of tell people this, that like, I think without Game of Thrones, Attack on Titan wouldn't be as popular, because Game of Thrones came out like 2 years earlier, and that basically changed how you looked at TV. Because for those who don't know, Game of Thrones is like very very mature. Like, there are some things that even adults will say like, yeah, that's kind of too far. Like, people who are into hardcore stuff like that. And Attack on Titan was actually kind of similar into that. It had not in the sense of like, oh, this is like too far and stuff, but it was more of like, it was a fantasy setting, and it was very mature for its age, and also like it had complicated characters. Everybody in the show can be either like a person that is good but just has bad reasons for being good, or some people could be doing bad things but they have like good reasons for doing said bad things. And especially during like the final season, we actually got to see more of that complexity. Like, at first we thought like Reiner was this big bad guy that he did this because he was this jerk that kind of wanted to end the world. But it turns out he has a family, and what he like, and also like getting through his life, like he has dramatic stress disorder, which actually made him have like split personalities and stuff. You know, all this complicated stuff, which is already in Game of Thrones, and which kind of did help boost its popularity because honestly, how similar they are, that's like very debatable. But you know,
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You can't see this because there's probably some GTA footage playing right now, but I was nodding along the whole time because this theory is actually makes a lot of sense. Actually, I never really thought of it that way, that something like Game of Thrones would influence Attack on Titan. But now that you mention it, I do assume that Game of Thrones was the gateway to a lot of modern shows, right? And a lot
yeah,
of modern genres. I remember seeing something recently, it was only in passing, but that Game of Thrones sort of popularized fantasy in mainstream television.
yeah,
And I think that probably you're very, very right to say that Game of Thrones popularized this sort of very gory approach to certain subjects as well.
yeah,
And Attack on Titan, you're absolutely right. Like, for example, Owen, he's got this thing where the only reason that he's the glorious commander of the Survey Corps who wants to lead them outside of the walls is to satisfy his own curiosity and to prove that his father was wrongfully murdered. He doesn't care
yeah,
as much about the soldiers as he would be led to believe. Instead, he only cares about himself.
yeah,
And that's actually a really good point. Ryan as well, I really enjoyed that episode with all of them sitting around eating stew and sort of talking things out in a certain sort of way and sort of noticing that they're actually not that different.
yeah,
All of it. One of the most powerful scenes, actually, I thought, in the entirety of Attack on Titan so far, is the part where Shadis and Magath blow up the pursuing boat together.
yeah.
It's like they're finally working together to defeat the larger threat. That's just like, wow, this is really serious and also really powerful. I really enjoyed that scene. Actually, that's probably one of my top 3 scenes in Attack on Titan.
Yeah, it really was, and yeah, yeah,
But Hajime Isayama, generally, like, what a great storytelling person in general.
yeah,
He's like he's got a whole deck of reverse cards that he just deals out at every new episode, and
he's like, oh, I don't know. I guess he's like the Japanese George R.R. Martin.
pretty much, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'd actually be surprised if he reads Game of Thrones, or maybe not. Honestly, if he does, that would actually be really cool. He would be my favorite mangaka ever.
I heard, or I read recently, that Attack on Titan almost didn't happen because apparently Isayama's drawings were so bad that a lot of editors just turned him away straight from the bat. And finally, somebody decided to take a chance on him and told him that you really need to get better at this art thing, Bob. Otherwise, nobody's going to read this.
Yeah.
So thank God to that one editor at Shonen Jump who picked it up. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. You the GOAT, man. We wouldn't have this if it wasn't for you.
Right, no, not Isayama. It's the editors at Shonen Jump who did this for us.
Yeah.
And Isayama, obviously.
Yeah.
Thank you, Isayama.
All right, let's get into question number 2 now. Wow, that was a very long discussion.
Will I maybe be the longest anime talk guest ever? Let's find out.
Let's find out. Probably not, because Doofy really loves to talk.
Goofy, I'm taking you on right now. Challenge mano a mano.
Yeah. All right, let's get into question number 2. What is a guilty pleasure of yours?
Anime-wise or generally in life?
Let's stick to anime.
Let's stick to anime. Okay, do I want to admit to this? I think so. I like kitschy romance anime a lot.
Kitschy?
I like kitschy romance anime. Do I need to explain the word kitsch? It's a German word. I'm sorry for that. Kitsch is basically something that is very gaudy, very obvious. So, for example, imagine something like a plastic diamond ring. That's kitschy, so to say. That's sort of this classical soppy love story. But I fall for that shit every single time. So I love Horimiya. I love every single other romance anime that I've watched. They make me feel fuzzy inside, and that's all that matters.
Okay. Okay, so you're just like general.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, hentai obviously, but I don't think we should really talk that much about it. We don't want to get the video age restricted. So
Yeah. So I guess because you said you like romance and stuff, what is some romances you watched?
Right. Well, the best romance anime, and I will die on this hill is Horimiya, hands down. Have you watched Horimiya?
No, but I've heard about it. One thing I was actually glad, and something that kind of pushed me to it, was that it is pretty quick. So like the main goal isn't these two need to get together. They get together, and it's just let's see what happens there, which kind of is which is getting me to want to watch it. But right now I'm working on other stuff. I'm watching other stuff, so I might get to it soon.
You need to watch it. I really want you to watch it because I don't think it's something especially revolutionary or something especially new or good or anything like that. But I think it just sort of perfects this romance, comedy, slice of life, anime style that happens. You've got the two main characters. It's a bit more. It sort of explores a few more grown-up themes than most. Because the male lead, Miyamura, has actually been bullied a lot in middle school and is this sort of loner who's incredibly attractive and isn't this sort of typical sort of loser type person who sort of plays games all the time and has very, very sort of covered up eyes due to his hair. He's more of somebody who's sort of kept to himself. He's committed self-harm, so it also explores that sort of more serious topic of being bullied as well. And in high school, he meets up with this girl, Hori, who also has a very different personality from who she actually is at school. Because at school, Hori is this sort of perfect, you know, Japanese high school girl living the dream and stuff like that. You know, she's got loads of friends, everything. She never hangs out with people though, because at home she always needs to take care of her little brother. So at home she's basically like a mum.
Yeah.
And Miyamura, once he gets outside of school, immediately ties up his long hair, takes off his glasses, and reveals his tattoo arm, which he has. So he's got like a whole tattoo sleeve on one of his arms, and earrings as well, piercings, everything that a high school student is not supposed to have. So they've got these two very different personalities outside of school, meet each other by chance, and sort of start spending more time together from that perspective onwards. It's a very feel good. I really like it.
Okay, yeah. I might, like I said, I might get into it. It's just, I don't know. Something's just, maybe I need to actually watch it because it's not getting me into like, it's not saying like I should drop everything and I'm getting and watch this, because I get many different descriptions, but my thing is like, maybe I'll watch it someday, like maybe 25 years from now, or
I absolutely get that. Like, I get the same feeling with a lot of anime where you know they're good, but you just don't want to watch them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a really bizarre phenomenon, even though you know that you'll actually really enjoy them once you do watch them. But yeah. Oh, and speaking on the subject of guilty pleasures, I've actually just pulled up my anime list and found something else: Food Wars.
Oh yeah.
I've rated. I'm very ashamed to admit this, but I've given 3 or 4 Food Wars series a 10 out of 10 on my anime list. I'm never going to recover from this, but I really enjoy Food Wars. I think I actually watch it for the food aspect as well, not just the ecchi stuff.
I just love food. I love food.
You watch Food Wars, right?
Yes, I've watched Food Wars.
Like the dishes that they make are brilliant.
What sucks is it's not accurate to cooking, so that sucks. Like, I think the one thing I looked up first, it was an episode where they couldn't find like a tenderizer, so they used honey. The guy used honey in it. I was like, and I was like, I bet, because when I was into cooking, I was like, maybe I can use this as a tenderizer. So I looked up, can you use honey as a tenderizer? You know what's so funny? The first thing that showed up was the manga panel from Food Wars, and it said, you cannot use honey as a tenderizer. So I was like, wow, they knew. They knew.
Brilliant. You've just shattered my world here. I thought everything was accurate in there.
Yeah.
Oh, no. It's still really enjoyable though, seeing people compete with food and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't quite get the entire aspect of food being the biggest thing in the world. It seems that sort of everybody is completely blown away by food, and you've got these massive food duels. But I suppose that's just anime, so it kind of deserves to be there.
Well, honestly, like when I eat food, I feel the same way. You know, I feel, I
Like you
feel
suddenly want to take off all your clothes and stuff.
kind of yeah.
Or...
When I eat food, I want to feel relaxed.
What is your favorite? I mean, I don't want to steer this sort of too far away from anime, but what is your favorite food?
Um, Jeez, I love like all types of food. I would say salmon. Well, actually, to be honest, I like anything with potatoes. Like, I would eat anything with a potato.
As long as it's got a potato on it, it's good.
Yeah, yeah. I just love potatoes.
Fair play, fair play.
Yeah.
But one last thing before we move on from Food Wars is I just noticed how funny it is that they managed to normalize the nudity at some stage. Like at some stage, when somebody's cooked something really delicious and suddenly the clothes stay on, like, why on earth are the clothes on? I want them off. Like the food tasted good. You need to take your clothes off.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre, isn't it? You can kind of get accustomed to it so quickly.
Yeah. I just like that some people have like a weird powers. Like, what was it? I think the season 4 antagonist. His powers was that if he enjoyed food, everyone else's clothes came off. And like when the grandpa.
Yeah, that's like the headmaster, right?
Yeah, it was the headmaster, and I was
I
like,
think that's about something like some special gene of a family. Like this family can manage to take other people's clothes off just by enjoying food.
yeah,
Oh boy.
yeah. It's really weird, but you know, I love food, so I watched it.
But also really enjoyable. I nearly accidentally recommended it to my dad because he was really into cooking at some stage. I was like, have you seen? I mean, I just noticed like, oh shit, no, he's gonna think I'm weird if he watches Food Wars. So I managed to carefully steer away from that. Dodged a bullet there, I think.
Yeah. You know, there's gateway animes, but Food Wars is not one of them.
Food Wars is not one of them, in the slightest.
Yeah, definitely. Alright, I guess that's it for question number 2. Alright, so question number 3. Is there an anime that you have been enjoying recently?
Yes. Well, technically not an anime, but I just finished earlier this evening. I just finished Arcane.
Oh.
Liked it. Very good. It's you've watched it, right?
No.
Oh no, you haven't. Do you play League of Legends?
Okay, I do, but I don't like it.
You don't like it? Yeah, nobody likes League of Legends. I mean, I've just started with it, but I still hate it. But I think it's kind of beyond the point of liking it. You kind of get addicted to it, don't you?
Kinda, yeah. I guess it's with any game, honestly. Like,
as some say, I think, well, not with any game. I think it's got to do mainly with online games.
yeah.
Where you've got a ranking system.
Well,
Those things are addictive as hell.
They are, but honestly, you know, at least it's free. I mean, if you're addicted to something like World of Warcraft, oh boy, yeah, you are like mentally and
fucked.
financially, you're screwed.
True. Although a lot of people I know have spent quite a considerable amount of money on skins, so that's always the sort of dangerous side of League of Legends and all these free-to-play games, right?
Yeah, but
When somebody, I remember this one girl I was playing with, like she recently opened up her bank statements and checked, and she had spent something ridiculous like 300 quid on skins. Where you're just going like, how can you even do that to yourself? How can you like not notice? But it's such a landslide, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or a snowball effect. You start off small and suddenly it just becomes normal.
yeah, I kind of have like a standard for myself. Like, when I know I'm getting too much, I know when I'm getting too much into a game if I'm spending money in the game.
Definitely.
So even if I spend $1, I'm like, oh, I went too far. I went too far.
Oh yes, absolutely. But back to Arcane, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant anime. It follows two of the two of the playable champions in League of Legends, Jinx and Vi. I never actually saw Vi before. She's a jungler for anybody who plays League out there. But it was very interesting. I think the storyline was you didn't really you did warm up to people, but nobody was really in the right or wrong. You saw everybody's perspective, and they all had their own reasons for doing it. But at some stage, you started hating pretty much everybody equally.
Oh, so it's like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a bit like a Game of Thrones, just a bit simplified, because there's only sort of 2 big factions plus a few smaller ones.
Okay.
Wait, actually, that's like Game of Thrones with House Stark and House Lannister, but never mind. Back on point. The only person you really end up liking by the end of the show are the 2 sisters, who are the main characters, Vi and Jinx. And even then, Jinx is pretty much very odd. She suffers from childhood trauma, which I won't get into too deeply because you haven't watched it, and to speak any further of it would be to spoil something.
Okay.
But she suffers from childhood trauma, which is sort of the main problem in the show, because she's the one that causes problems, because she has this trauma. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Okay, when it comes to video game lores, I don't really get into TV shows, or like it has to be something I would be very interested in. Like League of Legends lore, I don't know it, but it's also because I really didn't really care for it. So, do you need to know League of Legends lore to get into this, or?
Absolutely not. It's actually better if you go in without knowing anything.
Okay.
It's sort of like an added bonus if you've played League of Legends before, because you see like small cameos of certain things. So, for example, in one of the scenes, there's one of the rock jungle monsters.
Oh, okay.
That's being sold in the market and stuff like that. But I think it's actually the other way around. Arcane is getting loads of people into League of Legends from normal television viewers who just wanted to watch the series.
Well, how does that work? There's like no story mode in League of Legends.
That's it. But you sort of fall in love with Jinx and Vi and say like, ooh, like there's this really lovely game about them as well called League of Legends. Like, I'm gonna boot it up, and then start to immediately get abused by lots of toxic players who don't want you to have fun in the game, and that's how you draw lots more people into your game. But the animation is actually really, really good.
Okay. All right, I might get into that.
Oh, you definitely should. Have you been watching any anime recently?
Rising of the Shield Hero, because I'm a big fantasy guy. Spy X Family, because I read the manga. And Love is War. I love Love is War. That's always a good watch.
I started Love is War as well. I read the Spy X Family manga, which is why I can't really watch the anime. Because for me, it's either one or the other. I can't do both. In a lot of cases, it feels like I'm repeating the same material, so I already know what's going to happen. Love is War is an exception, though. I have read the manga, I know what's going to happen, but I'm still really enjoying it in the moment.
Yeah. I'm the same with Spy X Family. I haven't read Love is War, but Spy X Family, I've also read the manga.
It's good, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is good. It really is good.
It's enjoyable.
Oh, you were saying something. What were you going to say?
I actually honestly forgot.
Oh.
I'm sorry about that, but no, I completely forgot what I was going to say. I think it was something about Love is War, asking whether you'd read the manga, but you just said that you didn't, so I think that's also a subject that I think goes off. But yeah, Love is War has also been very good, very enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really go wrong with it, can you?
Kind of.
Even though it's a slice of life.
Well, my thing was okay. So, before we started, I said I've told him that I loved serious stuff. So I love like Game of Thrones. I love Lord of the Rings. I love Attack on Titan. One Piece, all that stuff. And I said that's why I kind of don't like slice of life. There's another reason. Certain slice of life moments always it's like common sense is thrown out the window, and Also, if this one, it's like detective skills are non-existent at all.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. But it's a slice of life. It doesn't need common sense. It needs to be fun and happy-go-lucky and make you feel fuzzy and warm inside. That's the point of slice of life. And I think it does just that.
Yeah, it does that. It's just, I also like common sense. I also love common sense.
You're right though. There is a lot of sort of overreacting and overthinking in a lot of these situations, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, did you watch the one where Ino forgets to put her headphone jack in?
Yeah, like, honestly, I was thinking, like, it would be 2 times worse to just... It wouldn't be as bad, because wasn't it just them two in the beginning? Like...
It was just them two in the beginning, and it kept on getting worse and worse and more embarrassing.
Yeah,
so at the start, you're kind of thinking, like, Ishigami, why on earth aren't you just telling her that she's got, like, calming, soothing forest music on, and that she might want to stick the thing all the way in?
Yeah.
She's, like, making okay reasoning. But at the end, when she's got, like, 2 cute, handsome young boys telling her that she's perfect and that she's doing really, really well, I do not want to be the person to tell somebody else that their headphone jack is unstuck when they're listening to that. Absolutely not. It would be mortifying.
Yeah.
But I love that scene as well with this sort of artistic expression where Ishigami decides to sacrifice himself and starts listening to like moe anime music without a headphone jack on.
Yeah.
And it just all comes to nothing because, in the end continues listening to her sort of, you're perfect, you're cute, like you are a princess and stuff like that.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like if the joke hits, I'm laughing, but sometimes I'm like, there was a better way to do this, so why didn't you just do that?
You've got a point, definitely.
But yeah. All right, I guess let's move on to question number 4.
Okay.
All right, so question number 4: are you part of any fandom?
Part of a fandom. That's a difficult one, actually, because, I mean, it depends. I'm a fan of certain anime series, but I'd never really describe myself as having joined a fandom. If at all, I'd say that I'm a rather heavy fan of, oh boy, I think I've got one. Do you know the quintessential quintuplets?
Oh yeah, I read that. I finished that.
Yeah. So which quintuplet, okay, we're not going to spoil who he ends up with. That still hasn't been done in the anime. But which quintuplet is your favorite?
Honestly,
no skipping around. Just tell me.
Well, my thing is, I kind of forgot because it was a while ago when it finished, and after that, I didn't really pay attention to the anime because I'm like you, if the manga, if I don't really read the manga, I don't watch the anime if I've already read the manga. Holy crap! I don't get characters' names or personalities.
That's fine as well.
Well, and it's a lot worse because they're quintuplets and they kind of very much, especially in manga panels, they look exactly the same. So it's like, so like, even if we spoil who he got married to one of them.
Yeah,
I don't even remember which one he got married to because it was like.
You can't just forget that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
No, but describe which one you were rooting for. You must have one, right?
Honestly, I was rooting for the first one because I was like, first meeting and stuff, and eventually, and also it seemed like them two were kind of a little bit closer compared to like the other ones. The other ones were, yeah, the first one he met.
The one that's an actress, right? Or which one are we talking about? It's very confusing, isn't it? Because they were born to short time span.
Yeah, and like this is just okay. I'm trying to remember. There was a scene when they first met. It was at the cafeteria. They were, I think they were discussing like food and stuff. I think she was like, "Oh, I have too much food and stuff," and then he was like, with common sense, he's like, "Why did you buy this much if you think you have too much food and stuff?" They get in an argument, something like that.
The teacher girl, I think it was. The one who wants to be a teacher, right?
Probably. It really doesn't help that these girls are quintuplets, honestly. Like, we could be talking about the same girl. We could be talking about two different girls.
Okay, you're right. You're right. This is kind of a pointless line of questioning. I kind of noticed, but I support one girl called Miku, who's this sort of shy gamer girl.
Okay, okay. You know what? Even though I wasn't rooting for her, I do know her though. I do know her.
The thing is that I describe myself as a part of a fandom because I actually made 2 videos about the fandom, so to say, and why Miku Nakano was the best quintuplet. Both of them got quite a decent amount of views for a very small channel at the time.
Yeah.
And both of them were very controversial because if there's one fandom that is toxic, then it is the quintessential quintuplets fandom. Like, if you do not support their waifu, they will get angry at you.
Well,
It's really, really funny, actually.
that's anime fandoms in general.
It's really, really funny. It's like, I remember having like a whole ass argument with somebody. It was on my first video, actually. I remember having a whole ass argument in the comment section with some guy who was like really enraged that I tried to scientifically prove that Miku Nakano was the best girl in some sort of spoofy video. He was obviously taking the piss.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, he called me a virgin. It's like, dude, you're literally arguing on the bloody internet about why one anime girl is better than the next, and you're calling me a virgin. It's like, what the fuck?
And they're not even real.
But it's rather funny. But yeah, but that sort of showcases how seriously people take this. So I'd say that I'm kind of part of the fandom there, just because I've got a very clear side on who I support.
Oh man, dang, you should not get into Persona fandom.
What about you?
Persona fandom. Yeah. Like you say, waifus are like one thing in anime fandoms. Yeah, Persona fandom is like, let's put like if there was a scale of 1 to 10, it would be 11, and then maybe even 4 more. I don't know. It's like insane. Like the one thing about
that toxic?
Okay, so the one thing about Persona fans, they want you to get into the Persona series, so they don't care about anime. They don't care about video games. They don't care about manga. They don't care about how you get into it. As long as you're a Persona fan, then we're all happy. But because in the Persona game, you're allowed to. The thing about Persona is you're allowed to ship any girl. Okay, in Persona 5, Persona 4, not really, but you're allowed to ship with a girl. Now, because of this, there's a lot. So.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so
more than 5?
More than 5. And that's one game.
Okay, this is about to become a melting pot of a shitstorm.
Yeah. So here's the thing, that's one game.
Please continue.
Now there's 3 games out there. So more than 5 and there's 3 games who also have more than 5 waifus. So basically it's like
this is not sound good.
Yeah, so it's already like toxic as it is. And the one thing is that like whenever a Persona series is like announced, the one thing that is like, it doesn't matter, like they'll be like, everyone will be agreeing, oh, the game's amazing, oh, the music was so good, the story was amazing. Then we take the waifus and it's like, yeah, your waifu was crap. And it's like, no, your waifu's crap. And then they go back and forth explaining why their waifu's crap, why the other person's waifu's crap, and why they chose this and that and this and that. And then eventually another guy comes in and he's like, well, I like this waifu. And then those two go on that guy and the other guy. And it's just like, there's no end to it. It's like the great waifu wars. Like, it's like 10 times worse. It's like, honestly, people can make like hour-long videos just describing one waifu. And it's like people fighting against why she's bad, why she's good, why she's canon, why she's not canon. It's like, holy crap! Like, honestly, I'm actually kind of part of that. I actually have a waifu I like. So
this has made me really want to poke this sort of Persona fandom with a stick to just see what kind of reaction I'll get.
Yeah.
Boy, that sounds so. I don't know how to say it. That sounds so bizarre. Like, I'm guessing that there's at least like 15 or 20 different waifus in total in this Persona series,
Yeah, or
and all of those,
yeah,
and everybody being possessive.
yes, everyone.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Like, you can't even say a character is mid. It's either you like the character or get out.
Are the Persona games good though?
Oh yeah, they're definitely good. If you want to get into Persona, it's great. Stay away from the fandom. Just
Okay.
don't, because the thing about it is that there's not. At least they're not Fate fans. Okay, that's the only thing I gotta say.
Hardcore fans. Sounds like fun.
Yeah. If I get popular enough, I might actually. I might actually.
Cancel yourself.
Yeah, I might cancel myself, but I don't care. I'm popular.
I'm gonna say it. Every other character's mid except for this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talking about JRPGs, have you played Yakuza?
Yakuza. Ooh, I've wanted to, because I've been told, like, one thing I like that people say that they like is that it's very interactive. Like, the world itself, you can interact with almost everything. And
Oh, yeah, they've definitely got a point. It is very interactive,
yeah.
but it's also very small. I think that's the only downside to it.
Yeah. Okay. I really do want to get into it. This is actually something interesting and trivia parts, but in some of my videos, there is a video song that plays, and it's from a Yakuza game. Believe it or not.
Is it Bakamitai?
I don't know. Is that the disco one? Nah, I think I'll give it to you. I'll give you a clip to it. It's from Yakuza 0. I heard a person play it in their background. I looked it up. I found it, and then I was like, you know what? I'll just keep these in. And so, like, most of my videos.
Is it a sad sort of song?
No, it's a disco song. It's like fun. It's like.
Oh, okay, man. It's not Bakamitai, because Bakamitai is one that everybody knows. It's like this sort of super sad song that you sing when you're drunk and alone.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I remember it's from the disco minigame.
Yeah.
The minigames in Yakuza are so hard to do. I suck at every single one of them.
Music's
It's
good,
horrible,
though.
really.
Music's good, though. It was very great.
The music is excellent.
Yeah.
The music, actually, one of the best things about Yakuza was when I first booted up Yakuza 0, which I recommend being the first one because it's a bit like the prequel.
Okay.
It's a bit like Star Wars 1, so to say. You don't start with Star Wars 4 anymore, you start with Star Wars 1. I remember booting it up and getting this really sort of hardcore rock music together with a sort of really cool montage of Yakuza things going on. And that was sort of my first introduction to Yakuza, and it really left a mark on me. So since then, I've kind of been a fan of Yakuza. I've only played like 2 games, but I'm definitely planning to play more in the future.
Yeah.
They're super fun.
Yeah, okay, nice. This is interesting. This is an anime talk, and we're talking about video games.
Talking about pretty much everything else other than anime.
Yeah.
Like we've gone to Game of Thrones territory before
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, we got into Game of Thrones, we got into JRPGs, we got into food. I never thought I would actually talk about that in an anime talk. But you know what?
They don't call it anime talk for nothing.
Yeah, honestly, maybe I should just call it talk. This is
with the anime bro. No, you shouldn't even call yourself the anime bro and like just talk with the bro.
Yeah, talk with the bro.
It sounds kind of sleazy to be quite honest.
Yeah, honestly.
Talk with the bro.
Yeah, it actually does. Yeah, that would be my
cheesy 80s metal riff in the background.
Yeah, that will be my second channel, and that will be my collab on those, the bro, and the talk.
That sounds so sketchy. It's not even true anymore.
Oh wait, I can't use the talk. That's copyright. Dang it.
Is the talk copyright?
Yeah, there's a show in America called The Talk.
I bet they're bad. Bet you could do better than me.
Yeah, I probably could. But
What are
anyway,
they about?
it's just the girls talking about politics or stuff.
Yeah, I've just pulled it up. It's your sort of typical good morning show, right?
Yeah. I don't think it's just in the morning. I think sometimes it's evening. They just get like 5 well-known ladies, and then it's Yeah, it's basically what we're doing right now, but
Well, like with general American pop culture.
yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's not really my cup of tea.
Yeah.
Do you watch television at all, or is it just anime nowadays?
I don't really have television anymore because well, it's, honestly, it's a lot cheaper. Just I watch TV shows. I'm mostly a sitcom guy. I like sitcoms. I'm a big fan of Big Bang Theory.
Okay.
I like Friends as well. How I Met Your Mother. I love The Office. I really,
The Office is great.
yeah, I really love Parks and Rec. That one is also great too.
I haven't watched any of those except for The Office. I'm not really knowledgeable about American sitcoms, so you're going to have to teach me about that.
Okay, so then if you love The Office, then get into Parks and Rec. It's a mockumentary. It's like The Office.
Oh, okay. What's it mockumentary?
Yeah, it's U.S. government.
US Oh boy, does that actually need a mockumentary? That it does. But okay, I'll write that down actually, because now I've got a new sitcom to watch. Thank you very much.
Yeah. It's a mockumentary about the U.S. government and why it's so bad.
Crikey. Well, thank you, bro. Anime bro.
Yeah.
I'm going to write that down right now.
Yeah.
Parks and Rec. Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Should we get back to anime at all, or do we
Yeah.
continue talking about the talk with the bro?
Well, we're already at 51 minutes, and honestly, you are getting close to beating Doofy, so maybe we
How
can
long
get.
has Doofy lasted?
It's at least an hour. So you last
Question.
question. At least last
Doofy,
question.
I'm taking you on. Okay.
So let's get into this. Let's get into the final question, the hardest question of all. What is an anime that you find overrated?
Can I name an anime film? Is that alright?
Yeah, that's fine.
Jujutsu Kaisen 0.
I actually never seen that.
You haven't seen it?
No,
I mean,
I've seen Jujutsu Kaisen, but I like people like. What's weird is I've never heard good things. People always like, it's like the animation's bad and stuff. So I was like, all right, I'll give it some time to actually wait, because so far people are saying it's bad, but there's not like I don't think I've seen anyone major like talk about how bad it is. It's mostly like close friends and also like little YouTuber channels that I'm watching who say like, it can't be, it's not really good. It's not as for some reason I've been hearing negative stuff about it for some reason.
well, don't get me wrong here. It's not like it's the worst film to ever come out or anything like that, but it felt very compressed. You've got this sort of certain expectation of Jujutsu Kaisen, the cool storytelling and everything like that, but it seemed like they illustrated it very well at the start. Then in the middle, it just kind of got compressed super hard, so you hardly saw any personal growth from the main character up until the final fight, when all of a sudden it grown into like this great Jujutsu sorcerer who was on par with the strongest in the world. And sure, you sort of saw a sort of quick insight into his life every now and then with him training, but that was it. Nothing else. And that was kind of disappointing. Other than that, I've got a few slice of life anime that I thought were completely overrated, but I saw a lot of people liked online.
All right.
So there's one that I just want to talk about before we finish this off, which is Imoto Umaru-chan. You know the one about the little girl with the sort of red hood on? Orange hood on?
The one with the little teeny tiny girl?
Yeah, it was like popular a few years ago. Like really popular. You couldn't escape from it because it was sort of the sort of pop culture icon. It was a bit like the Marin Kitagawa of My Dress Up Darling back in the day. Like this sort of super cute anime girl that everybody had as their profile picture if they were into anime and a cool anime person.
Yeah.
And I decided to watch it recently, and I just thought it was so sort of meh. I found it actively irritating, actually. Like, I've just sent you a picture of the girl. She's super obnoxious, for one thing. Like, constantly asking other people to do things for her.
Yeah.
And, like, constantly sort of airing other people out and stuff like that. And I just found her a pain to even watch. It wasn't even like she's doing it in a funny way, like some other people might be doing it. She's just doing it in an irritating way. Like, I'm not moving here. I'm just going to sit here and play games. Like, this is my thing. Please laugh at me while my brother gets me some Coca-Cola for me being an obnoxious brat.
Yeah.
So I dropped that after like an episode because I just couldn't bear watching it.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I've definitely seen this girl. I've seen this girl. So, yeah, the clips I've seen, I'm like, man, this is really annoying. Like, who's watching this? I don't like this. I definitely wouldn't watch this.
No, what really surprised me actually was just that it got so popular in the first place. Because I thought, like, it's gotten so popular, there must be something good about it. So I started it and sort of just really disliked every second of me watching it. So at some stage I thought, even if everybody else likes it, I just can't do this to myself.
Yeah.
Stopped it immediately.
Yeah.
Do you have any overrated anime?
ReZero.
ReZero. I've never actually watched that.
Oh, it's.
I think I started an episode and found it boring.
Oh, good. Nice.
Yeah, I just didn't get it. It seemed so sort of typically isekai for some weird reason. But I thought that I wouldn't get anything new out of it except for the same old stereotypes. So.
Well, this was one of the first ones. You kind of do get the you kind of do get the stereotypes in isekai. Kind of get a harem. You guys an overpowered ability. He can come back from death, and also he comes to a new world. So it's a typical isekai. Another one. A lot of people already hate me for this. Mushoku Tensei.
Mushoku Tensei?
Yeah.
I must say, I think it's all right. What I find creepy is the old guy in the younger kid's body who is basically acting kind of like a pedophile.
Yes,
that's very weird. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, well, my thing is they praise this as like Lord of the Rings and stuff, and I'm like,
really?
Yeah, and I'm like, well, as a person who knows this stuff, I'm like, okay, chill out. Comparing a guy who literally made a world filled with so many languages compared to this guy who made probably 4 languages, I think the guy with the multiple languages is on an entirely different level. Like, I get Mushoku Tensei. Its world building is great. It is really unique in anime, not really in fiction, but in anime to have its own language, its own writing system, and all that. But definitely. Like, if you look at fiction in the West, and not just fantasy, fiction, you got stuff like Klingon from Star Trek. You got you got Avatar. The sci-fi movie Avatar. That has its own language, believe it or not. You got those two, which are science fiction, and then you also got the Lord of the Rings, which is Quenya, Sindarin, Numenorian. I'll name others, but honestly, it would probably be boring. And then you also got the Dothraki from, Game of Thrones. So, yes, it's pretty impressive, but if you look at the West, we've already been doing it a lot longer than Mushoku Tensei.
Yeah, it's probably a lot more worked out in the West as well. Mushoku Tensei, funnily enough, is, I believe, the first isekai to ever exist, or one of the first.
Okay.
It started out as a light novel.
It was
quite a while ago, actually, and then it got picked up recently, right?
Okay, so the one thing I do gotta say, it is like Lord of the Rings in the sense that it changed how isekai was. So a lot of isekais follow Mushoku Tensei. Before, most of it was it was kind of like they go to a new world, but the goal was always to come back. Mushoku Tensei was the first one to where it was like the goal is to live life here, and you live here and you die, and that's basically what isekai had been for a sense. Which is the same thing with Lord of the Rings, where before that, fantasy was fairy tale. So like you got like the Hans Christian Andersen, you got guy who made The Little Mermaid. You got all those. Those were kids' stories. Those were just things only kids would like. When Lord of the Rings came out, that was something that adults could enjoy because it wasn't a guy slaying a dragon. It was an army versus another army. It wasn't a guy who is going on an adventure and he gets to meet all these cool people. It was a guy who was going on an adventure and at some point he could die, literally die.
Oh yes, absolutely. But I think that a big reason why these two mediums have so much, or why Japanese isekai has so much catching up to do to the West, is also because of the format that it's presented in. Because Lord of the Rings was written as this epic story
Yeah.
that Tolkien wrote back in the day to basically for himself, but also to publicize, and people picked it up from there. Whereas with the competitive market in Japan, you have to write something that appeals to everybody and appeals still enough to publishers so that they will actually publish it and find it interesting in a very short amount of time. So I think that kind of takes away a bit from the depth that it could have, just because you need to churn it out on an industrial level. Like every isekai starts out as a light novel, or most of them do, and you need to churn out one of those every month or so, right?
Well, yeah, but another thing to point it out is that Tolkien didn't have the internet. So the thing about that is, like, if Lord of the Rings was released something like now, it might get as popular, but not really, because to put it in perspective, I think the one thing that made Tolkien very popular was that he already had a best-selling book before Lord of the Rings, so he kind of had to do some, like, he had to make a name for himself before Lord of the Rings get published. Because the one thing that they also say is that the reason why Lord of the Rings wasn't the first to do this, it just did so well financially that it was considered the turning point for fantasy. So, and with Mushoku Tensei now, we got the internet, which right now it kind of is hard to do. But because the internet is worldwide, even though you might not find an audience in Japan, if you might find an audience in America, you might find an audience in Mexico, you might find an audience in anywhere in Europe. There's a lot more places to go. While, with Tolkien, he was limited to only Europe. In fact, well, I don't know much about it, but I don't think us Americans probably did get it because it was English, but every other country probably didn't get it as well. And all that because of limited resources at the time and stuff. So it could be that, but honestly, different times had different problems. Mushoku Tensei, there's a lot of people doing it. Tolkien's time, there wasn't really an easy way to reach to other people, I guess. I guess it just really depended.
Well, you're the expert on fantasy. I can't really hold a candle to you on that. So
yeah,
I can accept what you said as the truth, the one truth that the bro has spoken.
I might have made up all of that stuff. Honestly,
I still believe you, to be quite honest.
Yeah, the thing is, I just try to make it as confident, and then there you go. People will take it as fact. All right. So, if you want to be doofy, let's talk about a few more minutes. I guess I'll explain. Okay, so have you heard of Maid-sama?
Kaicho wa Maid-sama, yes. I loved that anime back when I watched it, but I've forgotten pretty much the entire plot.
Oh, I
But please refresh my memory. I'm quite sure that it'll.
You know what's funny? This is the very first anime I watched.
No way.
Okay, besides Yu-Gi-Oh and all that, this was the very first anime I actually watched that got me into that. So as a kid, you get into Yu-Gi-Oh, you get into Dragon Ball, but those aren't technically, I won't consider them as official anime because it's everyone knows Yu-Gi-Oh, everyone knows Dragon Ball. My official first anime was Maid-sama. I did not like that. I didn't.
You did not like it? Okay, I can kind of understand for a first time anime watcher to not like Maid-sama.
Not because of its weird, but because the main guy was this perfect person, and I was well, for one thing, he wasn't leaving the girl alone, and I was like, dude, give the girl some space. She doesn't want you, dude. She doesn't want you and all that stuff. But then it's so this was before I knew what tsunderes were. So me as an American who's Because in America, it's like, oh, you do this to a girl? Yeah, police. You're getting called on the police. You're going to jail. Yeah, basically. So this guy's pushing this girl. He's like even stalking her at some point, and I'm like, dude, don't. Like, why are you doing this?
Bit odd, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit. Yeah, that it was odd. And then they end up together at the end, and I'm like, dude, how does this make sense? The guy was a no.
It's good to be a stalker because you will get the girl.
That's not
Anime,
how.
teaching you things.
Anime teaching you things, and then you realize that's not really the way it goes.
Although, to be quite honest, a lesson like that sounds more like something that would be or something that would be taught on Talk with the Bro.
Yeah,
rather than in an anime or something like that.
Yeah,
Wow, that was really your first anime, and you watched it all the way through.
Yeah, I watched it all the way through, and I was like, oh my goodness, why did you end up with this guy? There was another guy that was not as bad, and I was like, you know what, I'm kind of rooting for him, but honestly, every guy in this anime is weird in some way, so you know what, he was the less weird one. Of course, it was also before I learned about the curse of the childhood friend, which so you know, childhood friend never gets the go with the main character, which always is sad, but sometimes honestly it really depends on the anime. That one I wanted the childhood friend, but it never happened because that's anime for you.
Yeah.
But then I watched Toradora, and then I was like, you know what, this is actually pretty good.
Toradora's alright. I would say it's not really the best thing I've ever watched, but yeah, you know, it's a solid entry, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a solid one. That one I was like, okay, this is interesting. This I can see where this is going. Like, even though the characters had weird quirks in them, it's like, you know, that's manageable. Like, the guy was obsessed with cleaning. You know, that some people are like that. I understand that. So, but you know, that the other one was like, yeah,
It's a bit weird, isn't it?
It was. It definitely was.
It's so hard to remember what you watched first, right?
Yeah, it really.
Like when you brought up that question, I was like, did I watch first? I have sort of slight memories. Like my first anime must have been Pokemon. But everybody watched Pokemon. I also watched Inazuma 11. Have you heard of that one before?
Inazuma, I think I've heard of it before, but
it's the sort of football equivalent of Pokemon. It's very weird. The world is a very warped place because it's this sort of classical. It's meant to have the same target audience as Pokemon. You know,
yeah,
children who are coming home from sort of early secondary school. You know, maybe 12, 13, 14 years old at most. And what's very funny about this world is that everything is dependent on football. Like every fucking little thing. It's like, oh no, the president has just been abducted by aliens. We, the Raimon football team, will help save the president. And then, like, in order to gain confidential information about the president, they first must play a game of football against the president's bodyguards and win. It's like, how does that make any sense? Like, just because they can play football doesn't mean they're qualified to save the bloody president.
Yeah.
Like, it was really fun actually to watch. You know, it had a lot of tension, a lot of excitement. They had a lot of sort of cool special abilities because obviously everybody has a special anime football kick.
Yeah.
That they use.
Yeah.
It was also the anime that got me into subtitles. Because I remember this one scene where one of the characters is thanking the other character, and I used to watch it in dub the entire time.
Yeah.
And I just remember this guy going, "Thank you, Jude." And then silence. Complete silence, while the character's mouth still sort of moved for 2 seconds after that. And that was just so immersion breaking that since then I swore I'd never watch dub again.
Yeah. I think
are you sub or dub?
It depends really. I was like you for a while. I was only dubbed. I think Golden Time was the first one where I was like, I can get into sub because it doesn't have a dub. And like for a while, I was big into slice and life and fantasy, not slice and life fantasy, slice and life and romance, but mostly romance part. So I got into stuff like Golden Time. I got Toradora, Maid-sama. Let's see, there was a lot of bizarre ones I watched. There was one where they were making like a dating sim for some reason.
I think I remember that one. Wasn't that something called Summer Wars or something like that?
Yeah, it probably was it.
I've heard of that. Summer Wars is something about gaming. I haven't actually watched it yet though, so I'm very unsure about that one.
Yeah. So I think I got into fantasy after actually One Piece, because One Piece showed me that like world building can go to the like if there was something that could be compared to Tolkien, One Piece would be definitely be that one. And I think it helps that it is a pretty big story itself. It's been going on since 1997, so it kind of makes sense that if it could be compared to Tolkien's work, it would be something that's been running since before I was born. Like, put in that perspective, I was like,
Crazy, isn't it?
yeah, I think Luffy left East Blue. I think he went to, I think Little Garden when I was born. So that kind of like, if you know what I'm talking about, that's a big. So basically, to point it out, that's like 6 arcs. So like
6 arcs.
Yeah, 6 arcs
Over 25 years.
Yeah, over 25 years. So like 6 arcs. There's a lot more arcs because the arcs get longer and stuff. That's mostly what it is.
So do they get like arcs within the arcs?
Well, okay. So they're kind of separated into sagas. So the first saga is the East Blue saga. So that would be the journey that he's. That's where he's normally gathering up his crew, trying to have a crew that he thinks is worthy enough to go to the East Blue. And then right now it's kind of really hard to kind of what saga it's in, because I kind of put it as in like every arc is connected some way in the time skip, in the post time skip one. Like pre time skip, it was pretty easy because each arc contributed to the next one, and then after that saga ended, it was like, okay, let's do another story. While this one, it's like the next arc affected the next one, and then it affected the next one, and then it affected it. So it's really hard to say what saga we're in. People say that there is, but honestly, it's kind of complicated. Not as complicated as Fate. That's actually, it's a lot easier than Fate.
I suppose so, but everything is easier than Fate, so
Yeah.
that's also. Although at some stage you'd kind of expect One Piece to be complicated after 1,000 chapters.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, even though I'm caught up, it's like I never feel the thing of like I'm going to drop this. Like, once you've gotten to like the point I'm in, I don't think I've wasted it. I think I actually can't wait for next week when Oda releases the new chapter, because
So you're caught up?
yeah, I'm caught up. Like, okay, so the one thing, put in perspective, I started one day when I started the anime. It took me like 6 months to catch up. So,
Crikey.
and that wasn't like, oh, I took a couple of breaks. If I was not eating or playing something, basically every day I was watching at least like maybe 5 episodes of One Piece. So
Dude, that is unhealthy.
Yeah.
That is unhealthy behavior.
yeah, so for like the longest time, it wasn't like, hey, what's this new seasonal anime? It's like, what's happening in One Piece? For like, that's like 2 seasons to put it in perspective. So like
Yeah, I must say I'm actually really scared of One Piece just because it's so large.
well,
I'm scared of being sucked in.
well, the thing is, like, you might not get, because you like slice of life. One Piece is to put it, it's a world builder's dream. It's really long. It has great world building. It has so many different factions. It has great like history, great world, islands and stuff. So it's good for a person who loves world building. As a person who likes slice of life, yeah, you might not get into it because especially how long it is. And even though there is a anime out there that's been going on since the 60s, and it is a slice of life, and I'm still wondering, like, how do you not run out of things to talk about for like 60 years? Just talk about daily life. That's one thing. But
Yeah.
But yeah, for you, maybe you might get into it. I don't know. It's
I think I might get into it at some stage. I've had an idea for the longest time about a YouTube video about what we do.
mm,
Reading all of One Piece. It's sort of Mr. Beast type challenge where you lock yourself into a room with just One Piece until you finally finished it.
you'll probably be
Do you
in
think
there.
one could actually manage?
Actually, okay. The thing about it is, I tell people read it because that will not make it as long. One thing that makes One Piece so long is the anime. If you watch the anime, then like literally someone did like a calculation. One arc literally took without breaks, and you are just constantly leaving it on. One arc actually took a whole day to complete.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Of course, it was the longest arc, so you don't have to worry about it. That's very far in the head, but still, that's pretty insane. And that's pretty insane with the TV show. But if you read it, depending on like how fast you are, if you're a fast reader, you might actually get caught up in like 2 weeks, honestly, if you're dedicated enough. So it is pretty long, but honestly, if you stick to the manga, I think you'll be caught up in time.
Wonderful. Okay, yeah, no, because maybe I will read the manga.
Yeah.
Because I still remember I once achieved the massive feat of reading the entirety of Fairy Tail, so maybe I should just do it all over again for One Piece.
Yeah.
That might be something.
Yeah. It's better than Fairy Tail, as my opinion.
Oh yeah, probably so. Fairy Tail was probably the first manga I ever read, and it was good. But it got a bit samey after a while. Same themes over and over again.
Yeah.
Natsu getting stronger and stuff. But
yeah. Okay, we kind of already beat Doofy's time, so let's just.
Let's go!
we beat it like 10 minutes, so Doofy's been overthrown as the longest anime talk.
I'm going to be making a tweet right now. At my name is Doofy. I have beaten you.
He probably doesn't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Who cares about that though?
Yeah. But anyways, let's just end it really quick. Thank you so much, man. This has really been a long anime talk, but at some points it's not even anime talk. It's just the talk.
With the bro.
Yeah, with the bro, not the anime bro. But yeah. Any final words, I guess, before we close this?
Thank you very much for having me on. It was a lot more fun than I expected. Like, I was going into this, thinking, hey, cool, it's going to be an anime talk. This was actually really, really fun the entire time.
Yeah.
Never done a 1 hour recording before, and I'm certainly glad I did it because I really enjoyed it. If you ever have another free hour or two, then feel free to contact me. I'd love to make another appearance. But thank you very much for having me, man. And go subscribe to the anime bro. He deserves it. Subscribe.
Yeah, nice. And also subscribe to Lenny. Link will, I don't know if I said this in the beginning, but link will be in the description below. Check out his channel. Again, we are very desperate for subscribers, honestly. Come on, help us out.
I am no longer asking. I am threatening.
Yeah. I'm asking though. I don't want to. I don't want to be canceled.
He's choosing a non-violent solution.
Yeah, and yeah, I guess see you guys later. Peace.